right, everyone. How we doing? It's Brett Henderson. I am the founder of Strategic Wealth Endeavor. Welcome to everyone who's joining us today. We have a phenomenal guest, actually, phenomenal guests. Hiram is amazing. We don't really need to introduce Hiram, but he's going to talk about who he is and what he does. But also, we have Tiny Tim Dura of the Polk Institute. So today's live stream is for veteran entrepreneurs or would-be veteran entrepreneurs. If you are a veteran entrepreneur and you're looking to start a business, or you want to get into entrepreneurship, or you have an inkling but you don't have the skill set, you've got the desire but you don't have the knowledge, you're not sure how to get into entrepreneurship, how to open a business, how to find funding, how to capitalize on an idea, how to take that idea and turn it into action, and action into reality, and reality into revenue, right? Because you run a business, we want to drive revenue and then actually have limited expenses, and actually have profit. Crazy concept. Build a business out of nothing, have revenue, and have profit. That's what we all want in the entrepreneur space. So that is what we're going to talk about here today. We appreciate you taking some time. I know it's noon, so you're on your lunch break. If you're having a snack, we appreciate you being here. Hiram, why don't you say hello quickly, who you are, what you do, and how we work together?
All right. For those who don't know me, my name is Hiram Figueroa. I've been on LinkedIn for over 20 years. I do a live podcast broadcast called LinkedIn Perspective. I've been able to collaborate with Brett Henderson for the past few months, and we've been able to create multiple channels, as well as creating the Veterans Entrepreneur Masterclass and Strategic Wealth. So it's a pleasure, and I just want to be able to share that with you. And also, we're just giving a opportunity for the audience to have educational purposes for this podcast broadcast. So there you go.
Perfect. Appreciate that. Actually, I need to say that too before we go turn it over to Tiny Tim. So this is meant to be educational in nature. This is not tax advice. This is not legal advice. This is meant to be educational and for entertainment purposes only. So I just have to say that for compliance, keep them happy. And so today, the main guest and the main speaker of today's live stream is Tim Dura. And Tim he has a partner, Gary, who's amazing, and they've built something out of nothing to help veterans and several other groups, but we're going to really focus on veterans today, be able to take their desire to become an entrepreneur and then help them acquire the skills they need to launch a business, to build a business, to grow a business, to grow revenue from nothing, limit expenses, and build profit. So that's what Tim does and his organization does. So with that, Tim Dura, how are you, sir? Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm doing well, Brett. How are you doing today? You look like you're doing very well.
Doing
Got that
okay.
big
Thanks
smile
for being here.
through the mustache.
Yeah, the mustache is still there. It's still there. Hasn't fallen off yet.
There you go. Well, as Brett said, my name's Tim Dura. As you can see in the background, I was a fighter pilot. I still consider myself a fighter pilot. It's kind of like once a Marine, always a Marine. It's the same kind of deal in my community as well. I'm originally a North Dakota boy, grew up in Fargo, North Dakota, graduated from North Dakota State University, 1974, got commissioned as a second lieutenant, went through the pilot training process, got into fighters, and was able to fly for 22 years, which was wonderful. Because a lot of times guys get cycled off to go fly desk, and I never got to have to do that. So I was very glad my 22-year career ended, not because of something stupid, but because my back finally gave out after all the G's, after all those years. So I had to take a medical retirement. After that, I knocked around a little bit and then became a high school teacher. So I taught high school kids. Actually, I taught middle school kids for 7 years and then high school kids for the last 13, which was a challenge up front because middle school kids, you all know that age group, everybody's squirrely, hormones are popping, nobody wants to pay any attention to you because they think their best friend knows better than you do. And then the high school kids, which are a lot easier to deal with, I could relate with them a lot better. So after 20 years of teaching in high school, where I taught entrepreneurship through the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, which is a program that was sponsoring my school. I retired and teamed up with Gary Polk. Gary Polk is uh, a professor at Cal State Dominguez Hills in California. He and I became friends while I was a high school teacher. We knew each other kind of like by sight for about a year, and then he held a pitch competition at Dominguez Hills for high school. He invited 5 schools to come. We could have up to 5 teams, invited 6 to come. He we could have 5 teams, so I brought 5 teams. Everybody presented during the day, which was real interesting. Nobody knew what school anybody was from, which was even more interesting. And then at the end, when they announced the first, second, and third place winners, they were all my kids, which was the most interesting thing of all, because the reigning quote unquote championship school that was there was on Dominguez Hills campus. It's called CAMS. And CAMS is in our athletic conference. So, we always have a little rivalry with them. And when we forced them to walk out with their tail between their legs, that was a good thing. So Gary came over to our school and presented all 3 awards to my kids, talked to them for about half an hour. And then after that, we were on the phone back and forth or meeting back and forth for, 3-4 times a week. And about a year later, he started hatching this idea of the Polk Institute. And it originally started out as a for-profit kind of venture. And we took a look at that and said, maybe not. So we decided to build this as a nonprofit and offer it free. So hear that 4-letter word, people. We train veterans and the other groups that I refer to for free. Okay, this costs you nothing to join our program, which is something that we consider very important. The reason why we
let me
do
just
this,
jump in with that, Tim.
Go right
Let me
ahead.
jump in. So just to reiterate what you're saying, so you offer an entrepreneurship program, collegiate level, at 0 cost for veterans.
Exactly.
How long is the program?
Right now, the program we have 4 phases to the program. Okay. First phase is the educational phase. We call it phase 1 or the incubator phase. And that lasts 11 months. This is where you learn the basics of how to build a business plan, how to pitch a product, how to write an executive summary. And then we have what we call the showcase at the end, where everybody is responsible for a 5-minute informative pitch about their business. Okay, and that gets them through phase 1. Then they go into
Sorry, just to clarify, phase 1's 11 months.
Phase 1 is 11 months.
How many phases are there?
There are 4.
And then how long are all 4 phases together?
It varies. The reason why
so is it self-paced then? Is it self-paced?
After phase 1, to a certain extent. Phase 2, which is the accelerator phase, can take up to a year. This is where you are paired one-on-one, one business, one mentor. Okay? And you're paired, and basically the mentor helps you polish your business plan, get your pitch deck ready, because at the end of that time, you have to have a 10-minute investor quality pitch ready to go before we let you go out into phase 3. All right, so once you've done that, now you go into phase 3. Phase 3 is up to you. That's access to capital. We will put you in front of as many investors as we can get our hands on to do your pitch. And hopefully, you'll only have to pitch a couple of times before you hit money. Sometimes you don't. You come back, we repolish your pitch, maybe pivot a little bit, change things, fine-tune things from the feedback that we get from the potential investors that you pitch to make things better for you. And then we send you out there again. And we keep sending you out until we get you funded. All right, once you're up and established, we hope to have you at $1 million gross revenue after the fifth year of operation. That's our goal.
Okay, so goal
After
again, let
that,
me just reiterate that. Your goal is to help an entrepreneur build a business from nothing within 2 years, it sounds like, and then to help that entrepreneur go from $0 in revenue to $1 million in revenue in 5 years. That's your goal.
from the time they get funded, yes, that's our
From the
goal.
time they get funded, 5 years to
Yeah.
$1 million bucks. Okay.
And
Awesome.
then after that is just phase 4, which is kind of like an alumni program. Being an entrepreneur, it's kind of like lonely at the top. All right. You got to always maintain a positive face to, the troops that are working for you. And so you don't really have anybody to vent to. Okay. Your wife gets sick and tired of listening to you vent when you go home. So we have an alumni program where we bring you back once a month. We have a guest speaker, and you get to sit down with the people you went through the course with and other people that have been through the course and just cross-check. Talk about pain points.
Oh, your audio is kind of a little tough there, Tim. A little tough there. I'll jump in while your audio is hopefully debugging there. So again, it's a 2-year program, and then a year to figure out which way is up, a year to get funding. Then hopefully after 2 years, you have funding. Then once you're out there, it's 5 years to grow your business to $1 million in revenue. However, at the same time, there's an alumni network because it is lonely at the top. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a very small business, and yeah, there's no one to chat with. And so that's actually part of where I'll jump in, where we're adding some content and actually adding a lot of value. If you are a veteran entrepreneur, actually, I'll just ramble and then bring it back to you, Tim. So I started my own business. June will be 5 years. And when I started my business, I had no idea which way was up. I did have a few other professionals, had relationship with CPAs and a couple of legal advisors and a couple other advisors in my industry. Oh, you should try this or do this, but there's no blueprint. It was figure everything out. So everything between where you work, which copier you use, your logo, your letterhead, your folders to mail things out, to your computers, your printer, like everything to start a business, I had to figure out on my own. And then I realized that there are a lot of other veteran entrepreneurs just like me that want to start a business on their own. And maybe they've been in corporate America for 5, 10, 15 years, and they have the practical and professional experience in work experience as a technician, but maybe not the entrepreneurial experience, which is it's a different job. It's a different thing to do. So what I realized I would have loved to have is a network, a peer group of other veteran entrepreneurs like myself. And you don't have to be a veteran, but it's just certain, if you are a veteran, we all have a certain bond. We've all taken the oath to defend our country. We've all done something, regardless of your rank, regardless of your branch. It doesn't matter. You volunteered to do something for your country, unless you're Vietnam era. And some guys, they didn't volunteer, right? But all the rest of us really volunteered. So having a community where you can bounce ideas off of, and not only bounce ideas off of, but it's more having a place to say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and have someone else who's been there, done that, has a few t-shirts more than you, where you say, oh, if you do that, be careful of landmine A, landmine B, landmine C. These blew me up, right? So if we can take our now wisdom, which I can't believe I'm saying now I have a little wisdom after all these years, you transition from being your conquer phase in your 20s and 30s to having some wisdom in your 40s and 50s and 60s, where you can share that wisdom with others so they can go to A to B, ideally faster than you did, if they're willing to listen. But Tim, I'm going to ask you a question. How many entrepreneurs that come through your program are I hope my video's there. Okay, good. Where the entrepreneur is the stove is hot. Don't touch the stove. I got to figure it out myself. They have to go touch the stove. So are you seeing that, Tim, with other veteran entrepreneurs that come through your program? You can tell them what to do, but until they do it themselves, they'll learn the hard way. They really don't absorb a lesson. Do you see that at all? Or are you seeing your students able to pick up value?
Actually, no, not with the vets. Why? Why do you think we don't see that with the vets? Give me about your top 3 characteristics about somebody that's coming out of the military, things they learned in the military. Give me your top three. What do you think they would be?
I think initiative, integrity, initiative, honor, and integrity. Those are three that come to my mind.
Okay. Those are good. Hiram, you got a couple you'd like to add?
Sure, I got a couple of that. We're talking about leadership, right? We're talking about leadership, intestinal fortitude, and character.
Oh,
So
intestinal fortitude. Okay. The ability to take orders. Okay. Grit. This is extremely important. You have to have grit. Okay. If you can't stick with it through the bad times as well as the good times, you got no business being an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur, as I saw Brett, kind of roll back and go, yeah, being an entrepreneur is a 24/7 job, people. You got to make payroll. You got to do, got to keep on top of the competition. You got to be, on the edge of that envelope. All right. That's where fighter pilots like to live, is on the edge of the envelope. You got to be out there. And if you're not really achieving your maximum potential. So that's why we like vets. Vets are coachable. They will follow orders. They will listen. If they have ideas, they're willing to listen to the instructor's input and say, okay, well, what if I try it this way instead? It's called a pivot. Hey, go for it. Go nuts. All right.
Yep.
We're here to advise you. It's your business. You do what you want with your business. However, we are here to try to guide you down that right path. To make sure you don't go, shooting off into God knows where and end up losing all your money and going bankrupt, which we do not want.
Yeah,
so that's why we love vets. They're coachable. Okay. So we don't have that problem with vets being stubborn. We have problems with the less than 30-year-old crowd being stubborn. Those people are the ones we have the issue with because, let's face it, branded education is a whole lot different, especially from when I went through school to where they went through school. And they've got a whole different mindset. They've never been taught to fail. So, they don't know what to do if they do fail. Whereas failure, we don't encourage failure, but failure is a part of what you learn as an entrepreneur.
So I have a question for you there, Tim.
Sure.
So with this being said, and as Brett stated, he's an entrepreneur, we've been able to collaborate, right? From your understanding, and you come from a different era. And then as you stated before, people are 30 years old. What do you seem to accomplish at this point, utilizing this platform? What do you want the audience to really understand coming from you as a veteran, as an entrepreneur? What is it that they're not getting that you want to convey to them so we can help them become successful on this platform?
I think the biggest lesson for them to understand and learn at that age is that guys like me have been around the block, been there, got the t-shirt, got a closet full of t-shirts, got a closet full of failures, okay? But we also have a closet full of successes. And what we try to do is teach how to recover from failure and turn what you have into a success, which you can do. You failed, but maybe you failed because you got stupid with cash flow for a couple months. And all of a sudden you had no money, and now you had to start liquidating. And that pretty much destroyed your business. So what do? We teach you how to do your cash flow much better than what you did. Things to look for. What are the warning signs? Come up with a contingency plan. I'm a big contingency planner. I was a war planner also when I was in the Air Force. And you always had to have contingency plans put together. What happens if you can't talk to, in our case, wing headquarters? We had to plan for the first 7 days of war being totally incommunicado. So we had to come up with our own targets. We had to come up with our own bomb loads. We had to come up with our own everything and string them out for 7 days and make them make sense. That is what we're trying to teach these kids. What happens if you fail? What happens if option A goes down the toilet? Well, you better have option B, C, D, E, and F ready to go and pick which one is going to fit best for that particular situation. Kids don't do that.
So let me ask you this, Tim. With Brett being here, and I think Brett can be able to elaborate. Do you find it very hard and discouraging that when we're utilizing this platform and you're conveying from your experience that these 30-year-olds, under 30 veterans or business entrepreneurs, they can't seem to understand what you're saying because they never lived it and you're trying to paint a picture to walk them through it? Do you find that a difficulty? Because I'm sure with Brett, we've collaborated, but I want to hear it from you. What do you say?
Do we find it difficult? It all depends on the individual. And the reason why I say that is one of the key words we always talk about is coachable. All right. Are you coachable? Are you willing to listen? Now, if you've got a person that's coachable and they have no idea what you're talking about, then you start working with them and trying to put it into terms that they can understand. And if they don't, then I just start asking questions and pulling out what they don't understand and then address those pieces one at a time until they do understand. So I can get a kid that's coachable to understand what it is that I'm trying to teach them and where I'm coming from. Okay, I can't tell them war stories because they have no clue about that. So I don't even mess with that. But the ones that aren't coachable, the ones that are stubborn, the ones that say, you're full of shit, I'm going to do it my way. Those are the ones that we say, bye.
So,
Right?
Tim, so now how did you work? How were you able to reach out to Brett, and how is it that we came to this platform to express your point of view? Because I think a lot of people we're doing a live stream, but I think people need to understand how we've been able to formulate the collaboration. I already collaborated with Brett. We talked about creating a channel. We created a community first over, and we're doing educational purposes. But you come from a different era, so why don't you elaborate on how did you come to Brett and how we came up to this platform?
Well, actually, I'm not quite sure if Brett came to us or we went to Brett, because that was done at the Gary Polk level, who's the CEO.
Jim
I
Craig.
wasn't brought in until after the first conversation. So I don't know who contacted Brett. Who contacted who first?
Sure. No, I'll jump in there and answer that. So a couple things though. So Hiram, to answer your question, the group we've built, the Veteran Entrepreneur Masterclass group. There's the podcast, yes. There's the YouTube channel, yes. But the Veteran Entrepreneur Masterclass group is about 50 entrepreneurs, all veterans. We get together once a month over Zoom and we have a conversation, just who we are, what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish, and can we help each other? So ideally, my idea was to build a group, build a network, or if you're successful or maybe not successful yet, but you've got the drive and desire to be successful, veteran entrepreneur, you can come to us. We have everything you need, every professional that you need to reinforce your business. I'm the Wealth 401k guy. We got a benefits guy. We've got the group legal guy. We've got the estate planning guy. We've got realtors. We've got bankers. We've got all these professions available to you if you're a veteran entrepreneur, where I'll say I have the go to dinner test, the Christmas dinner test. Like, I don't want you in the group if I wouldn't have you over for Christmas dinner or Hanukkah dinner. You have to be a decent human being and you have to be humble. And think, Tim, what you shared, for the younger crew, it's not their fault. The younger ones, their 20s, early 30s, want to take over the world. I went to a phenomenal presentation about a month ago, and the speaker, one of the main speakers, the keynote speakers, was not a generationologist. I'll call him a generationologist. He looks at different generations. And so us at Gen X, and you're a boomer, Gen X, it's kind of our time. Like, we've taken our licks. We've had to figure everything out on our own. We're latchkey kids. Our parents left us to figure out how to survive, and we all survived for the most part. And here we are, now we're in charge. But the millennials now, through no fault of their own, the boomers who raised the millennials had to say, hey, you used to be like when I grew up, my dad's, what, you think you're special? To the millennials, hey, you are special. Right. The millennials are grown up, told they're special. They get the participation award, 14th place in the pool. You're a horrible swimmer, but here's your participation award. But we've done that. We've created that. So it's not their fault. They were brought up that way. So the millennials are still in the conquer phase. So in your 20s or 30s, you want to get out and conquer, and you go out and you try and you do, and you learn by failing. And sometimes you have to fail. So you said, is in their professional career and their development. So I had my own firm now for 5 years. I'll humbly say I failed miserably at hiring the right people the first couple of years. I could not hire a good person because I didn't know. I had what I thought was good, but then the reality was not there. So I had to go through and learn what to not hire before I found a phenomenal hire. And when you find a phenomenal hire, you have to understand they've got their own goals, aspirations. They're going to eventually move on. So why am I sharing this? Because right now, what am I going through? My rock of my business has been me the last 3 years. Just got a phenomenal job opportunity in her career field where she went to school, and she has her doctorate degree. So she was with me, not doing what her professional degree was in, but she wanted to be in this space to learn and build her professional skill set outside of what she went to school for. But she has her doctorate. Now she's taking that 3 years of experience, applying it back to her main career, which is phenomenal. So understanding how to handle change. And we say this all the time, especially in the military, be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's kind of a cliche, but it's 100% true. And those of us, if you're a seasoned entrepreneur, you failed so many times. I just don't want to beat up how tough it is, but it is tough. And a lot of us get in our own way. A lot of us get in our own
Yeah,
way. I've
sure.
made my business tougher than it had to be just because I am stubborn, and it takes me falling down the stairs a couple times to really say, oh, don't do that anymore. Right. That's just who I am. So maybe my learning curve, because I'm so stubborn, is longer than some others. Some other people could learn lessons faster. And I think what you're sharing, depending where you are in your life, Tim, if you're younger and you don't have the wisdom yet because you don't have the experience, you have to go out and fail to learn personally. And what you said, you say bye to them because they're not there yet. They're still in the conquer phase. And that after you try and conquer, try and fail, you're gaining wisdom along the way. And I think for most entrepreneurs and professionals, I think that transition happens in your mid 40s. I think it's in your mid 40s where you go from your 20s, you're figuring out which way's up. Your 30s, you really don't know what's going on, but you're a little comfortable in your own skin. You start having some success in your mid late 30s. In your early 40s, you should be cranking professionally. And that's where okay, now I know what I've done right. I know what I've done wrong. And you should hopefully be more impactful and more effective when you're in your mid 40s, moving on in your 50s and 60s. You should be just crushing it. You should have your lessons learned there. So that's just kind of what I see, Tim. What are your thoughts on that? And while you bring that up, while you respond to that, Tim, and let me know your thoughts about your group, I'm going to bring up your website so people can see your website. Is that
Sure.
okay if I hit that? Let me bring that up.
Sure. Hiram, I apologize for Brett not answering your question as to who contacted
Oh,
who
shit. I'm
first.
sorry. I
I
went on a
don't
tangent.
really know.
Jim Craig. Sorry, Colonel Craig. That's my
No,
bad.
no, you're fine.
Colonel
Just
Craig.
go.
But it's the group, though. It's the group. It's the group. The group. So we met through the Veteran Entrepreneur Masterclass group. Jim's a member. Gary was talking to Jim Craig, who's also the post commander of American Legion Post 283 in the Pacific Palisades. You said, talk
Yeah.
to Gary. They got some good for veteran entrepreneurs. Let's connect. So the group, and we met on LinkedIn, and I met Jim Craig through another veteran who I met on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a huge conduit for veterans getting together and talk about business. And so to answer your question, Tim, and I met Hiram through LinkedIn. I've met Jim through LinkedIn, how I met Gary. So LinkedIn is huge. And there's Gary right there on the website. So I'll let you talk about the website. If you want me to hit any tabs, Tim, let me know. I can hit some other tabs, or we just let this play.
All right. Well, basically what you're seeing now is our title page. When you go to polkinstitute.org, this is what comes up. It tells you a little bit about who we are, what we do, and gives you a nice introductory feel for what it is that we are trying to accomplish. We have, there we go, there's our founding team. Okay. So These are the people that were in it in the beginning. It's mostly Gary, myself, Mike Manahan, and Gary's wife, Claudine, who were in it in the beginning. This is our advisory board. These are people that we bring in for, they meet 4 times a year. We will have a representative there. We talk about issues going on at Polk and what the advisory board can do for us to help us out with the issues that we're experiencing. Also get, new and fresh input, fresh ideas from the outside, because these people are all out there doing it every day. So, I mean, we've got outstanding people that are our facilitators. Okay, facilitator, teacher. Okay, we have to use the word facilitator because of 501c3 issues, because we are a training organization, not an educational organization. You ask what the difference is. My answer, ask the IRS. Okay. So anyway, we have some really phenomenal people, and these are people, our facilitators / teachers are the ones that are out there doing it every day. So when you go to a marketing class, that person is a senior VP of marketing. When you go to the finance class, that person is not only a college professor in business and accounting, but he's a CPA and he's got his own firm. Okay, when you go to HR, we have a professional HR person comes in and teaches that class. We do lean operations, where you learn how to run your company as efficiently as possible, because that affects the bottom line. You want the bottom line to grow. So you want an efficiency expert to come in and tell you, okay, how much space you need, how many employees do you really need? Those kinds of things to basically make your operation move as smoothly and as efficiently as possible. So, we've got a pro that worked for Toyota. There were 2 other car companies that he also contracted with as a lean operations expert. So, I mean, he's got, years and years and years of experience. We have our director of mentorship is a retired doctor who is now a financial advisor. He has his own business doing that. So we've just, and that's just the short list. Everybody that comes in and teaches or does guest speaker spots with the accelerator phase and phase 2, these people are all out there doing it. We've had venture capital people in. We've had the head of probably the most dynamic and successful public relations firm in Beverly Hills. She is our PR person, and she comes in and does guest spots during phase 2. We just got all the talent that we have that's there as facilitators and instructors is unquestioned. I rather doubt that you're going to come in and know more than the instructor that's teaching you.
Right.
You're going to trust me on that one.
This is good, Tim. So I would ask a question then. So a couple other programs that are out there that I've heard of, which I have not researched personally yet myself deeper, but I know that UCLA has an entrepreneurship program for veterans. I know USC has an entrepreneurship program for veterans. I do know there's a cost associated with both of those. I've spoken to alumni that have attended both. I've heard those both are very good. But as far as I'm aware, this is one of the only entrepreneurship programs out there that's available for veterans at no cost. Is that
exactly?
Okay. And so if someone wants to learn more, is it just really taking a test drive of the website? I have the website for the Polk Institute scrolling below at polkinstitute.org. You can see that scrolling below. You can check that out as we had that up. Is that the best way to check you out, Tim? Or if someone's curious, how should they engage with you?
Well, there's several ways you can do. So one, obviously, is you can go to the website. There are several tabs there that if you have an interest, you can click on to get more information. If you have interest in becoming part of our next cohort, you can click on that tab and actually sign up. You can always contact me. at any time. I'm readily available. Just put T-Dura at in front of the polkinstitute.org, and that's where I live. And I'll be more than glad to answer any questions that you have. I mean, there's like I said, there's an info email address that's posted on the website that you can go to and click on that as well. There's
So
well,
Tim, let me ask you a question. Why is it so important that people get to know exactly what you do? And we notice that it's a lot of minorities and it's a family-owned business.
yes.
Can you share from your perspective why it's so important for people to understand and the veteran community understand why this program is around? Can you do that?
Okay, it's around because, first of all, there's a lot of talented people out there that cannot move forward because they don't have the financial means to do so. All right, they're just sitting out there, maybe with a great idea, a great invention, maybe a fix on an existing product that would make it 10 times better. You know, all kinds of different things are just sitting there with, and they can't do anything because they hit that roadblock where they can't get funded, they can't get money, they don't have a venue to turn to say, teach me. Because when you turn to UCLA, USC, you know, what are they charging now per credit hour? 650, 700 bucks, whatever it is. They can't get past the entrance. The gate is barred for them. Well, at the Polk Institute, the gate's wide open. You just come walk in. It's up to you. If you've got the drive, if you've got the energy, you've got the nerve, you've got the guts to come in and give us a shot, and you've got grit and can stick with it, you're going to be pleased about what happens with you and your opportunities when you come out the back end of the program. Okay? 75% of all companies, corporations in this country of ours are small business. They provide 3/4 of the workforce. Okay? You start taking a look at that, and you start taking a look at what COVID did and how it wiped out the mom and pop operations, and all of a sudden, you know, your 10 options went down to 1 because the only store left in town was Walmart because they got a pass during COVID and were allowed to stay open. Figure that one out. Okay, so you've got to be able to pivot. You've got to be able to think post-COVID now because there's all kinds of new businesses that are becoming available. There's all kinds of new ideas on how to do things that are out there. And if you've got an idea and can seize upon that, you can come and do that with us for free. And that's the important thing. We give you that venue.
The biggest thing for most would-be entrepreneurs is that first step. You got an idea. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's a bad idea, but you have to take action with it, right? How do you eat an elephant with a big fork? No, one bite at a time, right? So that's the biggest thing is just do something, just try. And guess what? You're probably going to fail. You're probably going to hit your face. You're probably going to get kicked in the gut. It's going to hurt. You're going to feel bad. It's just what it is. But guess what? You learn from it and it makes you better. Right. And you just, okay, so don't do this again. And that's just part of life. And so that's the grit aspect you're talking about. And I could share some brutal stories last 5 years. Things are finally in a good spot right now. But my goodness, like during COVID and I turned my early 40s, I was just like, oh, hey, let's do this. Bam, get down. Well, let me get back. No, boom, get down. No, let me get back up. No, boom, boom, stay down. And I'm like, wow, this really, really hurts. Because I didn't have control over a couple things I was going through. And that's the biggest issue is when you don't have control as an entrepreneur and someone else is influencing you and your business and your life and you don't have control. That's probably the worst feeling I've ever had in my professional and or personal life is having things impact my business that I could not control and I could not stop. That's the worst feeling ever. However, learn a hell of a lesson. Right? Learn a heck of a lesson. So that's made me stronger and more than anything. And so almost anything now, you can hit me and I just kind of stand there and smile because it doesn't hurt compared to what the stuff I've been through. And so that's the main thing I'd say for anyone here. If you want to go into business for yourself or build a business with some peers, the main thing too is having that SOP, that standard operating procedure. So if you're not there, you got your playbook. Ideal, if you build your business right or any business right, you can take yourself out of it, pick up Joe Schmo from the street or Susie Boozy, whatever, bring her in, sit her down, give her a playbook, say, this is how you run the business, go. And it's a flip chart. Okay, I walk in the morning, I do this. I press this to turn on the computer. I check this. I do that. I do. So having your SOP, just like a pre-flight checklist, or I was a tanks in Marine Corps, you're going to fire up a tank. You got to do certain checks. Just have your checklist. So build your business, what you need to do. So if you're not there, your team can continue. And so there's a great book called The E-Myth or E-Myth Revisited that talks all about that. Just having your playbook. Doesn't matter skill set for someone, just you're not there, they can run it. So teaching you how to shift from being that technician of whatever your professional career is to an entrepreneur where you've got 50 hats until you get the revenue up where you can bring people in, right? To take some of those hats off your plate is huge. So that's I think a huge thing. Are there any questions? I know there was a question. Are there any questions from anyone in the audience about the program? You guys can message in. We're kind of social. We'll let it go there. If anyone wants to throw a question, you're welcome to do it. Before we kind of wrap this up, we'll leave it there for another couple of minutes. Okay. Hiram, what are your thoughts right now?
So my thoughts is this, right? For the Polk Institute, we're going to be able to utilize.
Tim, your audio is a little tough right now. Just let Hiram chat for a minute. Go for it, Hiram. Okay. All right. Go for it, Hiram.
So what we're going to do is utilize this platform to expand it to reach to the masses, right? With your support and my support on this platform, Tim, we're going to be able to we're going to showcase Polk Institute to the best of our abilities, so people can have a idea and plant that seed and utilizing social media to our advantage. So if people want to reach out to you, we can share this link, and then they can reach out to you as well. And then they can reach out to Brett, so we can build some kind of relationship and form collaboration. So that's what I got. Go ahead, Brett.
No, I think it's great. I think it's nailed on the head. So anyway, if you're out there and you're a veteran entrepreneur or a would-be veteran entrepreneur and you're not sure what to do and you're lacking the skill set, you're lacking the experience to run a business, to open a business, to find capital, to grow revenue, to limit expenses, to build profit, and you want some help, here's a complimentary resource for you as a veteran. It's, again, the polkinstitute.org. The website is scrolling across the bottom. We hope you reach out. Tim's great, and Gary as well, the other founder of the Polk Institute, are great. You got an experienced staff out there. So rather than pay some money, if you have the desire, here's a great resource for you. Tim, I'll let you bring it home, brother. Hopefully your audio is a little bit better now. Tim, bring us home. Oh, Tim, we got you. All right. So I guess we're having a little challenges with his audio and video. That's okay. But Tim Dura from the Polk Institute. Hiram, thanks so much for being here today. Oh. Okay, I'll be quiet. This is live, everyone. This is live. So, Tim, you got us? Audio? Is your audio working? Okay. On that note, I'm gonna wrap it, guys. This has been great, Tim. Hopefully, we'll get your audio fixed next time. Everyone, thanks so much. Again, I'm Brett, founder of Strategic Wealth Endeavor. What we do, my business does.
No. Yes. No. No.
I do. Hold on, Tim.
I don't hear her.
Tim, we got you. I'm gonna here. Where's Tim? There we go. Okay. So my business, Strategic Wealth Endeavor, we do wealth management and business consulting for veteran entrepreneurs. So we help companies with their buy-sell agreement or run their corporate retirement plan. And then we help them maximize the value of their business. So when you sell it, you get as much or higher multiple as possible EBITDA that you can get. So again, I'm Brett Henderson with Strategic Wealth Endeavor. Tim, we'll try and have Tim say goodbye one more time. Hopefully his audio is fixed. Tim, your mic is on. Tim, Can you hear us? Can you say something? Can you, Tim?
He's
Gotcha.
frozen.
Okay, we lost you, Tim. Well, everyone, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate your time today. If you have questions, again, look
Okay.
at the Polk Institute, and I'm Brett at Strategic
Yeah,
Wealth
my
Endeavor,
mic's on.
SWE90.com.
I'm,
Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much.
you still don't hear me, huh? I find that kidding. Okay.